Close your eyes for a moment and imagine yourself walking through the endless forests of Europe thousands and thousands of years ago. The air is cold, the ground is rough, and every sound in the darkness could mean survival. Or death. This is the Stone Age, the era when humanity fought not only the wild but also their own fears. Now, if I asked you, what was the worst creature to run into during this time, some of you might say the saber-toothed tiger, with its dagger-like fangs. Others might picture the towering woolly mammoth or the giant cave bear, all of them terrifying, yes, but today I will argue that the most chilling encounter was not with a beast of claw or fang, but with a creature that looked almost like us. The Neanderthal, strong, stocky, intelligent hunters, a mysterious cousin of modern humans. To run into a Neanderthal face was like meeting your own reflection, but a reflection that might not welcome you. Imagine their piercing eyes studying you, trying to decide, friend, rival, or prey. Archaeologists tell us Neanderthals were skilled toolmakers. They could strike fire, craft weapons, and hunt in coordinated groups. They were not mindless brutes, but masters of survival. Some evidence even suggests they had rituals, buried their dead, and may have spoken with a language of their own. So why would they be the worst creature to meet? Because unlike any predator Neanderthals thought, they strategized. They competed for the same caves, the same animals, the same scarce resources that we early Homo sapiens needed. They weren't just dangerous because of their muscles. They were dangerous because they were like us, and yet not us. Historians believe that for thousands of years, humans and Neanderthals coexisted, sometimes perhaps even peacefully, but more often it was a silent rivalry. And in the end, Neanderthals vanished, leaving behind bones, tools, and endless mysteries. Did we wipe them out? Did climate erase them? Or did they merge with us, leaving fragments of their DNA inside us today? That mystery is what makes them both fascinating and terrifying. To run into a saber-tooth meant you might lose your life. To run into a Neanderthal meant you might lose your future. So, my friends, the worst creature to encounter in the Stone Age was not the beast that prowled the shadows, but the shadow of ourselves. The Neanderthal, our mysterious cousin, our rival, and perhaps the ghost still lingering in our very blood. Neanderthals were humanity's fiercest rivals, not mindless beasts. For centuries, they were painted in popular culture as savage, ape-like figures, stumbling through caves with clubs in their hands. But modern science has shattered that image, revealing a creature that was far more sophisticated, calculated, and capable than anyone once believed. Neanderthals were powerful hunters, built with strong frames and immense endurance, perfectly adapted to survive in the harsh climates of the Ice Age. Unlike wild animals, they did not merely rely on instinct. They learned, adapted, and worked in groups, using cooperation as one of their greatest weapons. What makes them truly fearsome in the Stone Age context is that they were not so different from us. They crafted tools with remarkable precision, shaping stone into blades, scrapers, and spears sharp enough to take down massive prey. Their knowledge of fire gave them warmth, protection, and the ability to cook food, fueling their strength for survival. They understood the terrain, studied migration patterns, and could outwit both predator and prey. Facing a Neanderthal was not like facing a lion or bear, which could be outmaneuvered or scared away. It was facing an opponent who thought, planned, and struck with intent. Neanderthals were also social beings, living in tightly knit groups. They could coordinate ambushes, surround herds, and work together with almost military-like precision. Archaeological findings suggest they had a sense of care for their wounded and elderly, showing they possessed empathy, a quality that made them stronger as a unit. When early humans encountered them, they were not simply meeting another species, they were colliding with a rival that mirrored their intelligence and survival skills. This made every encounter unpredictable, for a Neanderthal was not just a creature of brute force, but one of cunning strategy, and that combination placed them among the most formidable adversaries of the Stone Age. They were intelligent hunters who strategized, not just fought. Unlike wild predators that relied on instinct alone, Neanderthals demonstrated foresight and planning in their survival. Archaeological evidence shows that they carefully selected sites for hunting, positioning themselves where herds of animals would naturally pass, using the land to their advantage. They did not charge blindly into danger, but instead used ambush tactics, driving prey into traps, ravines, or toward groups waiting in formation. This level of coordination reveals a mind capable of organizing complex actions, something far beyond the instinctive behavior of most animals. Their intelligence extended into their tools and weapons. Neanderthals created finely crafted stone blades, hafted spears, and cutting tools designed for efficiency. These were not crude instruments, but evidence of craftsmanship and knowledge passed down through generations. To hunt successfully in the Ice Age demanded more than strength. It required patience, timing, and the ability to read both prey and environment. They adapted their hunting methods to different conditions, proving that they were problem solvers who could adjust strategies as challenges arose. Fire was another aspect of their hunting intelligence. Neanderthals harnessed it not only for warmth, but also as a weapon, using smoke and flames to drive animals from caves or to corral them into more vulnerable positions. Their group dynamics amplified their strategic power, for they were not lone hunters but members of cooperative units. Every individual had a role: scouts, drivers, attackers, working together in ways that magnified their chances of success. What makes their intelligence even more striking is how it blurred the line between human and beast. To confront a Neanderthal was to face a hunter who could think ahead, anticipate movements, and outmaneuver rivals. They were not passive creatures of the wild but deliberate tacticians, sharpening their minds as much as their weapons in the eternal battle for survival. Humans and Neanderthals competed for the same resources and land. Both species were hunters and gatherers, relying on the same animals for food, the same plants for sustenance, and the same caves or sheltered landscapes for survival. This overlap created an inevitable conflict, not through malice, but through necessity. In the harsh environment of the Stone Age, where winters were brutal and food scarce, every mammoth, every deer, and every secure cave could mean the difference between life and death. When two species with equal intelligence and similar needs inhabited the same territory, rivalry was unavoidable. The competition was not limited to food or shelter alone. Neanderthals and early humans also sought out the same materials for tool-making: flint for blades, bones for weapons, hides for clothing. Their territories often overlapped in regions like Europe and Western Asia, and in those places, survival was a constant balancing act. Archaeological evidence suggests that humans and Neanderthals lived side by side for thousands of years, their interactions leaving traces of both cooperation and hostility. It is possible that they traded knowledge or resources at times, but it is equally likely that skirmishes erupted when one group encroached on the other's hunting grounds. This rivalry was made even more complex by their similarities. Both groups hunted in coordinated packs, both had fire, both used tools, and both understood the value of shelter. Unlike facing a predator such as a lion or wolf, which competed only for prey, humans and Neanderthals stood as mirror images, vying for dominance in the same ecological niche. Each encounter carried the tension of competition, for one's gain was the other's loss. In a world where survival demanded constant vigilance, the presence of another intelligent species striving for the exact same resources meant that coexistence was fragile and conflict always loomed just beyond the horizon. Their disappearance remains one of history's greatest mysteries. For tens of thousands of years, Neanderthals thrived across vast stretches of Europe and Western Asia, surviving harsh climates and adapting to environments that challenged even the strongest creatures. They were resilient hunters, toolmakers, and survivors who endured the icy grip of the Pleistocene. Yet around 40,000 years ago, they vanished, leaving only fragments of bone, stone tools, and scattered traces of their existence. The question of what truly led to their disappearance has puzzled scientists and historians for decades, inspiring countless theories and debates. Some suggest climate change was the decisive blow. As ice sheets advanced and retreated, the landscapes shifted, food sources dwindled, and survival grew harder. Neanderthals, already small in number, may not have been able to adapt as quickly as the rapidly spreading Homo sapiens. Others point to direct conflict, imagining violent encounters between humans and Neanderthals competing for territory, where one species eventually drove the other to extinction. Another possibility lies in interbreeding. Genetic evidence reveals that many modern humans carry small percentages of Neanderthal DNA, suggesting that they did not vanish entirely, but were absorbed into the human lineage. This theory adds another layer of mystery, raising the possibility that their disappearance was not a sudden end, but a quiet merging into us, their legacy surviving in our very blood. Disease has also been considered, with humans potentially carrying pathogens to which Neanderthals had little resistance, devastating their populations in ways unseen in the archaeological record. Despite all these theories, no single explanation fully captures the truth. Fossils and artifacts whisper fragments of their story, but the ultimate reason for their disappearance continues to elude us, making the fate of Neanderthals one of the most haunting enigmas of prehistory. The real terror wasn't predators, it was facing a reflection of ourselves. Unlike the beasts of the Stone Age whose fangs and claws could be anticipated, Neanderthals carried with them a far more unsettling threat: familiarity. They were not faceless monsters lurking in the dark, but beings who shared many of the same traits as early humans. They stood upright, crafted tools, controlled fire, and looked into the world with intelligent eyes. To meet them in the wilderness was not to confront something alien, but to see another version of humanity, one that mirrored our strength, our cunning, and our determination to survive. This reflection made them uniquely dangerous, for it blurred the line between friend and foe. A predator like a cave bear might threaten an individual, but a Neanderthal group could threaten an entire tribe's survival. They fought for the same prey, they sheltered in the same caves, and they adapted to the same challenges. Their presence was a constant reminder that humans were not the only thinking beings walking the earth. In every encounter, there was the weight of recognition, seeing intelligence in their eyes, and realizing that the struggle was not man against beast, but man against a rival humanity. The terror came not only from their physical power, but also from their unpredictability. They could hunt with strategy, defend their groups with ferocity, and adapt to circumstances with creativity. An animal might flee when outmatched, but Neanderthals could counterattack, ambush, or retaliate. That capacity for thought and choice made them far more unsettling than any predator. To face them was to face competition that mirrored one's own instincts, a living reflection that forced early humans to question who truly held dominance in the Stone Age world.